All right, let's do this. So many of you wanted to know more about firewalls, how they work, why they're so important for cybersecurity.
Yeah, it's a great topic and there's a lot to cover.
And that's exactly why we created this Technical U podcast on what we think is the ultimate guide to firewalls today. And this session is going to be awesome.
Absolutely.
We're going to cover some seriously cool stuff.
Yeah, like how firewalls can analyze data all the way down to the application level.
And we'll even look at those specialized web application firewalls, the ones designed to stop things like SQL injection attacks.
Oh, and we can't forget about the rise of AI-driven firewalls.
That's right. AI, it touches everything these days. So before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take it back to basics for a second.
Okay, back to basics.
Imagine someone hearing about firewalls for the very first time. How would you explain simply what a firewall actually is?
That's a good question. I'd probably say it's like a security checkpoint.
A security checkpoint. Okay, I can accept that.
Yeah, but for your network, you see, it controls what can come in and out of your devices when they're connecting to the outside world, like the internet.
So it's creating a barrier between your network and the rest of the world.
Exactly. It's like a wall between your trusted internal network and the big, often untrusted external network.
Okay, I'm with you so far. So it's like this gatekeeper, right? Making sure only safe things can get through, right? But how does it actually decide what's safe and what's dangerous?
Well, firewalls have these predefined rules. They use them to make decisions.
Rules like what?
All sorts of things, really. They look at where the data's coming from, where it's going,
Okay.
what application is being used, sometimes even what's actually in the data itself.
Wow. So it's not just blocking stuff coming in from the outside?
No, not at all.
What about stuff moving around inside my network?
Oh, firewalls take care of that too. They manage traffic internally as well.
So they make sure that only the right people and devices can access sensitive information.
Exactly. Think about a corporate environment.
Okay? Yeah.
You've got different departments all needing different levels of access.
So the firewall acts like a security system with different clearance levels.
You got it. And what's really cool is that you can customize firewalls.
You can?
Yeah, to meet the specific security needs of a person or an entire organization.
Right. Now that makes sense. So I know there are different ways these firewalls work, right?
Right.
I remember reading about something called packet filtering.
Oh yeah, packet filtering.
What's that all about? Is that like a basic way firewalls do their thing?
It is. It's like the first line of defense. So imagine each little chunk of data moving across the network is a package, right?
Okay, a package.
The firewall checks each of these packages.
What is it checking within the packages?
It is looking at the source and destination, IP addresses, port numbers, and protocols, all that good stuff. And if the package matches a rule that says block, well, it gets blocked.
So it's like a customs agent.
Exactly, checking everything very carefully, looking for anything suspicious.
I like it.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Firewalls can actually be set up to block traffic from specific places.
Like where?
Certain countries, IP addresses, even certain types of applications.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it could get that specific. Pretty impressive. Now, I've also heard about this thing called a proxy service. Is that another way firewalls work?
It is. With a proxy service, the firewall is kind of like a middleman.
How so?
Let's say you want to look at a website.
Okay, I want to go to a website.
Instead of connecting directly, your request actually goes through the firewall.
It does?
Yeah, and the firewall grabs the website's data for you, then it sends it back.
So the firewall is like my personal assistant for online stuff.
Exactly. It's fetching things for you. And this way, the website only sees the firewall's IP address.
Not mine?
Nope, not yours at all. Your IP address is hiding behind the firewall.
Interesting. So that can help protect my privacy?
You bet. It adds an extra layer of security.
But doesn't that slow things down? I mean, if it has to get the data and then send it back to me.
It can, but with modern firewalls, the performance hit is usually pretty small.
Okay, good.
And a lot of the time, the security and privacy you get are worth a little less speed.
Yeah, that's true. Now, earlier you said firewalls can analyze the whole flow of data, not just individual packets. Absolutely.
Right.
I think that's called stateful inspection, isn't it?
Yes, stateful inspection. It's basically packet filtering, but way more advanced.
How so?
It remembers the context of the data. Think of it like this. You're going into a secure building, you show your ID, right?
Yeah, I got to show ID.
But once you're in, you don't have to show it again to move between rooms.
I see. So the firewall remembers who's already been cleared.
Exactly. It keeps track of those established connections and only allows traffic that's part of that conversation.
That makes sense. That's smart. It stops anything unauthorized from sneaking in the back way.
Exactly.
So we've got packet filtering, proxy service, and stateful inspection. Anything else? I feel like we're missing one.
You're thinking of deep packet inspection. Yep, DPI. That's where firewalls really start to show off.
Show off how?
Well, instead of just looking at the label on the package, they actually open it up and look inside.
Really? They check out the data itself.
DPI examines the actual content, searching for anything that looks suspicious.
So what? What are they looking for?
They're searching for specific patterns or signatures that might indicate malicious activity.
So it's like if the firewall was a mailman. Okay, it wouldn't just deliver the mail, it would open it up and read it first.
Exactly, to make sure it's not a scam or something dangerous. And that's what makes DPI so powerful.
Yeah, how so?
It helps catch those really sneaky threats, the ones that can slip past other security measures.
Like what kinds of threats?
Well, it can find malware hidden inside files that look totally harmless. Or it can spot someone trying to exploit a weakness in an application.
Wow. So DPI is really important for staying safe online these days.
It really is, especially with how complex cyber threats are getting.
But hold on, all this inspecting and analyzing, doesn't that slow things down even more?
It can, especially if there's a ton of data to process.
So how do you deal with that?
Well, most of the time you use DPI selectively. You focus on the high-risk traffic or specific applications that are easier to attack.
Okay, so it's like choosing your battles, right?
You gotta balance security with performance.
Speaking of balancing acts, everyone says firewalls are a must-have for security, but are there any downsides? I mean, no system is perfect, right?
True, firewalls are awesome, but they aren't a magic solution. And one thing to watch out for is false positives.
False positives? What are those?
It's when the firewall blocks something that's actually fine. Like it thinks it's dangerous, but it's not.
Oh, I get it. Like when an important email ends up in my spam folder.
Yep, exactly like that. It's frustrating, right?
It is, especially if it happens all the time. It can really mess things up.
Yeah, it can disrupt work and even block access to important things.
So how do you fix that? Do you just change the firewall settings?
Well, setting up the rules correctly is super important, but you also need to keep up with the latest threats.
Okay.
Make sure your firewall knows how to handle all the new stuff out there.
So it's not a one-time setup. You got to keep tweaking it.
Yeah, cybersecurity is an ongoing thing. You can't just set it and leave it alone.
I see. So it's got to be part of a bigger plan.
Right, you need a whole security strategy with things like intrusion detection and prevention systems, endpoint protection, and regular checks.
Oh, right. It's all about layers of protection, like an onion.
Exactly. Now, we've talked about how firewalls work, but there are also different types of firewalls.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. What are the main differences?
Well, one big difference is between stateful and stateless firewalls. Remember how we talked about stateful inspection?
Yeah, the one that remembers what's going on. Ow.
Right. Well, stateless firewalls are different. They look at each packet all by
Itself without remembering what happened before.
Exactly. They're simpler and faster, but they're not as good at deep analysis as stateful firewalls.
Okay, so stateful for more protection and stateless for speed and simplicity.
Exactly. And then we've got other types too, like circuit level gateways. They mostly care about the connection itself. They don't look too closely at the actual data.
So they're like the bouncers at a club. They check your ID, but they don't care what's in your pockets.
Haha, that's a good one. Then you've got application level gateways. These guys are specialists. They filter traffic based on the specific app or service you're using.
So it's like having a different security guard for each department in a building.
Exactly. And then remember we were talking about how work is changing with everyone working from anywhere,
Yeah, the whole remote work thing, that is,
where virtual firewalls come in. They're software-based, so you can use them in virtual environments like the cloud.
oh, cool.
It's the same protection, but with way more flexibility.
So it's like a security system that can grow or shrink as needed.
Exactly. And that's super important with so many businesses using the cloud these days.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got stateful, stateless, circuit level, application level, and virtual firewalls. Are there any more? I feel like there might be a few more specialized types.
You're right. Don't forget about web application firewalls or WAP.
Oh, yeah, WAP. What do they do again?
They protect websites from attacks like those SQL injection things we talked about earlier.
Right?
They act like a shield, looking at all that HTTP traffic and filtering out the bad stuff.
So WAPs are like bodyguards for websites?
Exactly. If your business relies heavily on web apps, you definitely want one of these.
Okay, it makes sense. And I'm guessing with everything moving to the cloud, there's a special firewall for that too.
You know it. Cloud firewalls, they're often offered as a service.
What does that mean?
It means you don't need to manage the hardware and software yourself. Someone else takes care of that.
Ooh, that sounds convenient. So these cloud firewalls protect everything in the cloud?
Yep, all the infrastructure and applications, even across different cloud environments.
So like having a guardian angel in the cloud, making sure everything up there is safe.
You got it. And finally, we have the heavy hitters, the next generation firewalls, or NGFWs.
Ooh, next generation. Sounds fancy.
They're like the ultimate all-in-one firewall. They combine all the traditional stuff we've talked about with extra features like intrusion prevention, malware detection, and deep packet inspection.
Wow, that's a lot. So what makes them next generation is the AI stuff we were talking about earlier.
You got it. What sets NGFWs apart is their intelligence.
The intelligence?
Yeah. A lot of them use AI and machine learning.
No way.
It lets them analyze huge amounts of data, find patterns, and even predict future threats.
Whoa, so they're not just reacting to attacks. They're trying to stop them before they even happen.
Exactly. They learn from past attacks, adapt to new threats, and even automate some security tasks.
That's incredible. It sounds like AI is going to change everything about cybersecurity.
It probably will.
But with all this talk about these super smart firewalls and AI, does this mean we can just relax and let the machines handle everything that it can?
Not so fast. Remember, firewalls are just one piece of the puzzle. Even with NGFWs, you can't just rely on a firewall alone.
So even with all this amazing tech, there's more we need to do to be safe online. Okay, what else should we be thinking about? What else goes into a really secure setup?
Cybersecurity is all about having multiple layers of protection. Think of it like a castle with walls, moats, and guards.
Okay, I like where you're going with this.
Firewalls are like the castle walls, that first line of defense, but they work best when you've got other measures in place.
Okay, so what are some of the other important things? What else do we need to build our cybersecurity castle?
Well, first off, you got to think about protecting each device individually. That's endpoint protection, right? Like your servers, desktops, laptops, phones, and tablets.
All the things we use every day.
Exactly. You need to secure those with antivirus software, anti-malware programs, maybe even personal firewalls.
Makes sense. Because even if your network is super secure, one weak device can let the bad guys in.
Right. It's like having a crack in your castle wall.
No one wants that.
Absolutely.
So what else?
Intrusion detection systems, or IDS, are crucial.
Oh yeah, IDS. Tell me more about those.
They're like your security cameras, always watching for suspicious activity on the network.
So if the firewall is the wall, the IDS is the guard up in the watchtower.
It's exactly. Always on the lookout.
Love it. Okay, we've got the walls, the guards, the cameras.
Yeah.
What else are we missing?
The human element.
All right, people.
Yeah. User training is so important. I mean, you can have the best tech in the world, but people can mess things up sometimes. Yeah, people fall for phishing scams, use weak passwords, or browse on shady websites. It can create holes in your security, even with great modern technology.
Right. So it's about more than just buying the right tech. It's about making sure everyone knows how to use it safely.
Exactly. You need a culture of security awareness.
Got it. So we've got the tech, we've got the people trained up. Anything else?
Well, remember how we were talking about firewalls becoming smarter with AI? Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
The truth is, cybersecurity is constantly evolving. What we're doing today to stay safe,
Might not work tomorrow.
right? Hackers are getting smarter. Technology's always changing. It's a race to stay ahead.
So it's not enough to set up a firewall and relax with our feet on the desk. You got to be learning and adapting all the time.
You got it.
Well, we've covered a lot of material today, from the simple stuff to the really complex. Is there one big thing you hope our listeners take away from all of this?
Yes, firewalls are essential for good cybersecurity, but they're just one part of a much bigger picture.
So it's all about having a complete security strategy.
Exactly. Don't just rely on technology. Stay informed, be proactive, and create that culture of security.
Love it. Great advice. Okay, before we wrap things up, we like to leave our listeners with something to think about. We talked about AI making firewalls smarter. But what happens when the bad guys start using AI too,
Whoa, that's a scary thought.
right? Like, what if AI starts creating these super advanced attacks?
That's a huge concern. Security experts are already thinking about how to deal with that.
So it's like the cybersecurity battle is going to a whole new level.
Exactly. And that means we have to step up our game too. We need to do more research, work together as a community, and constantly adapt our defenses.
Sounds like a wild ride ahead. But it's also exciting in a way, right?
Totally. There's always something new to learn and figure out.
Well, we hope this podcast has given you a good understanding of firewalls and their importance in this crazy world of cybersecurity. The more you know, the safer you are.
Absolutely. Stay curious, keep learning, and stay safe out there.